Hi YouTube, we're here with the Hobby King Sunbird. I had been calling it the Hawkeye because it's in Hawkeye colors. But I found the kit, updated all my tags and stuff, and first thing I did is I took this off and I noticed it was just real flexy and weak. And so I took regular CA right here. And I use that to coat this. Then I took some baby powder and covered it up, and then I coated it again, and now it's nice and stiff and strong, particularly in this area, which is what holds into the nose of the aircraft. And I hate having access screws, so I am going to get some taco seasoning here. Wait, no, these are magnets. Never mind, not taco seasoning. And we're going to do a modification on this today that is really handy. And if you want to buy these things, look at these things, they're ridiculous. They're rare earth magnets. Of course, they stick to everything, so be careful. I'm going to use the smallest ones I got here. These I got at Hobby King. Be careful with these things. They are very strong and they can hurt stuff. Okay, so if you look at this barcode, I don't know if it's got a number on there. Oh, yeah, it's just extremely small. There you go. And I believe these are like 5mm by 5mm by 2mm or something of that sort. When you buy these, don't buy 10. You're going to get one little project done with 10. So there's a screw that goes in here, and that's what holds it down. So there's a nut that's inset, and he's got a Phillips tip on this. Okay, so normally you would put this down and then you would just have to tighten this. Now, that doesn't seem like that big a deal, and it really isn't a big deal, but I don't like dealing with crap like that. I just want it to be held down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take these, and I'm going to open them up, and we're going to inset probably 1 and 2, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Obviously you want to have some sort of a key, and you want it keyed in such a way that it doesn't blow off of there. You don't want wind to catch it. So if you're designing a hatch yourself. Okay, so the first thing I usually do is I will take these, and looks like we've already got a piece of steel in there, so it's going to want to pull the magnets over every time, except for that time, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set this down, and I'm going to mark it. I'm going to show you how I do that. It works pretty effectively. It's not completely foolproof, but just whatever marker you got that gets really good transfer. And just take and mark it on the bottom and cover up the whole surface. Put it where you want it, and then just press hard. It's balsa wood, so it'll just make a little dent too. And you can see it made a transfer, but it's got these magnets are never really perfect in terms of their shape. Okay, so you can see that mark there. It's a really good mark, so we'll be able to transfer easily. I'm just going to do a second little coat. You can also use paint to do this part. And that gives us a good transfer, and I'll just stick those back together. Keeping in mind that when you stick these into the wood, you need to make sure you make accommodations to keep them from sticking together. So I'll show you, we'll use some wax paper for that later. Nice sharp X-Acto knife. Now since this is balsa wood, of course it's relatively simple. You just cut your hole a little teeny bit bigger than you need the magnet to be. You're not hoping to kind of get that pressure fit that you're thinking about doing. I guarantee it's not going to work. It never seems to be quite right. You're going to use CA to hold it in. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to plunge cut it at about a 45-degree angle for about the approximate depth I want. See how I got that plunge cut? I'm going to do the plunge cut the other direction now. Okay. Now I could also take this wing off. In fact, I'm gonna do that real quick. Storing planes with rubber bands on is not always the best. Hey, bird of time, how you doing? It's not always the best option because you'll end up kind of ruining the rubber bands over time. But to be perfectly honest, I've never had a big problem with that. And also, one of the other projects I'm doing is changing this configuration to flaperons from just a Y cable, which will allow me to set up differential and some different cool things. And I got to fix the linkages and all sorts of stuff. But on this step, we're just basically going to look at doing a magnetic hatch. These magnetic hatches seem like they'd be super easy, but they're actually a little bit tricky. If you've never done it before, it's a little bit more tricky than you might expect them to be to put in. It seems really simple. Then you go and do it, and it's actually kind of hard to do that. Okay, so we're basically just going to cut this. And that one we're just going to pop up. And then I'm going to grab a flat-bladed screwdriver, like so. Just something that's about the right size for the opening. We're just going to use this almost like a chisel to remove that material. And of course it's balsa wood, so it's fairly soft. You could probably do it without even using a knife, but so for those of you that are in prison watching this, you can do it that way without a knife. That was just a hilarious joke, but if you're in prison watching this, congratulations. In the prison library, making your remote controlled airplanes, formulating your escape plans. I hope that's not what's going on. It would be a pretty good captive audience. Hilarious. Okay, enough hilarious jokes for now. So we're going to stick that in there, just like so. We're just going to see if it'll sit down in there flush. Yes, yes. Look at that flush sitter. That's pretty awesome. And then same thing over here. You're just going to push it in. Same one, just for sizing. Okay, perfect. So now you're going to grab yourself another set of magnets. Notice one thing. As I peel these off, I'm peeling them off in pairs. I'm never going to separate them unless I have to, okay? Because there's no need to. It's not going to gain you anything by separating them. You're just going to end up gluing them in upside down on accident. It's going to be super annoying. So, one thing I'm going to note is that when you glue these, be careful. The glue will try to walk around and into the crack between those two. So use thick and use kicker. If you don't use kicker, buy kicker and use it. It's easy. It makes everything so much quicker. And there are times when you need the stuff to set up a lot faster than it will naturally set up. I don't know if there's anything natural about this, I guess. Okay, so this is just Bob Smith Industries. The same crap you get anywhere on the planet that sells RC stuff, essentially. Okay, so... And yes, I do spring for the Bob Smith brand. I don't know if there's anything better. I just don't want to find out. I just don't want to do the testing. Okay, so a little bit of kicker on the bottom of the magnet. And pushing it in the hole. Oh, that little son of a gun. It slipped over to the other side, which sucks. So you got to get in there. And now I'm going to have to try to take that glue out, which is going to be a pain in the butt. So guys, now that you know how not to do it, let me go ahead and I'll just put all four of these together. So I'm going to just throw a little bit of glue in there, let it soak into the wood for a second. Okay, we are going to use kicker obviously here, but we're just going to slide that magnet into the hole first. Then we're going to run some kicker on it. Okay, let the kicker do its job for like 1 second. And whammo blammo. There you have it, guys. Okay, so now, like I said, I'm not going to separate them except for right this second because I'm just trying to get the other two off. Okay, let that go back to the home position because we're going to do the same thing except with the canopy now after we get this side done. No, stop it, you. Oh, you. I may pop out that nut on the bottom. It's going to be, I can tell it's going to be a problem child. Oops. Try to push that down. Of course, now the CA is in the hole, so I'm going to have to take and dig it out a little bit on this one side to allow this to drop down again. That's a dangerous thing to do. So anyway, guys, this is called the Sunbird. I believe it's a 1600 millimeter wingspan, which is pretty awesome size if you ask me. Oh shoot, I knocked one of my little planes over. Because look at this size compared to the Consendo. Yeah, that's probably about right, 1600 millimeters ish. I really like the size because you can take it apart too. Oh yes, look at that, guys. It's almost the same length as the one wing, one half of the wing from the Bird of Time. That's kind of cool. Okay, so back to this. We're just going to try to get that in there. That little son of a gun, it's going to go. We're going to have success with this, in spite of my skills. Okay, now we're going to throw some CA in there. Now this CA is not going to work quite as good on this side because it's already had a chance. Oh, that little son of a gun. Okay, now I'm going to soak up the CA so it doesn't set up on me. That was annoying. Then I'm going to wipe off the bottom of the test weight. Or, this isn't a test weight. These are magnets, people. I told you it was a little tricky doing this, and you probably all thought I was full of it. Well, maybe I'm still full of it, but not about this necessarily. It's not an especially horribly difficult process. It's just awkward. It just seems like the magnets just don't want to do any real work. It's like normal people. Like, don't use me. I don't want to help. All right, so we got that in there. Also, another thing we're going to fix is you see these antennas, the diversity antennas straddle the servos, and I'm surprised they haven't broken yet, but I gotta fix that at some point. Devil's in the details, right? And this little turd is not quite enough juice for this plane, so I have something in mind for you, airplane. And it's gonna be along the lines of maybe this little friend right here, this 30 amp UBC. And if not that, I have a couple other ones in mind, but that's kind of my tentative plan at this point. Okay, so now that glue is set up appropriately, the CA, which if anybody actually knows if CA is technically a glue, I guess I don't know for certain if it's actually a glue or not. Okay, so we're going to slip this in. We're going to let that down. You notice it won't reach anymore. Well, that's probably because we got the extra magnets in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually mark onto this surface, very dark, very heavy coat of this blue, in hopes that it will give us a good spot to cut out. And then we're just going to seat that on there and press it down. Just squishing it. Oh, would you looky there? Look at that. We've got a nice little mark. That's fancy. Okay, so I'm just going to follow this mark here. I'm just going to also follow this mark. And it's following the grain of the balsa wood, of course, which is not such a good thing right at the moment. Because the grain of the balsa wood is not the same as the direction I wanted to cut exactly. It was close, but not exactly the same. Just getting my depth of the cut made. Now I'm going to flip the blade over, and this will rip the surface a little bit to dig. Plus that opens up the hole instead of being the thickness of the thinner portion of the blade, which in theory is infinitely thin at the cutting end. Okay, so now I'm going to in here just like so, and just cut, and we're going to cut a wedge, slowly working it forward and backward. And these things will chop you up pretty good. Be careful, kids, or prisoners, whoever's watching this today. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. I mean, everybody that's watching my video is kind of a bit of a prisoner anyway, because it's that exciting. I feel like a bit of a prisoner doing this. I want to be flying this thing. I don't want to be doing this crap. Okay. So now that this is dug out, and you can do the same thing with foam. It's just a little bit trickier with foam because there's not as much strength to the material. A little easier to make your holes, a little harder to implement the actual attachment. Okay, so let's see if it sits down there now. Feels like it's maybe not going to fit very good until I push down hard, which I just did. Oh, it's so close. Okay, so I'm going to wipe off this marker. Why did you slip off of there, you little turd? Okay, larger magnet helps you retrieve another magnet. Okay, so we'll put that down there. Stick them right there. And then I'm going to take this glue. I'm just going to go one drip, one big drip, and then one big drip. And then I'm actually going to just stick this down. Just like we did on the last step. The only difference is this time I'm going to push it down. And I'm going to stretch, and then I'm going to hold it for just a minute. Oh, hi, vampire. Okay, so now that's going to take a second to set up, but there's always the fear that if you let it sit too long, then you're going to get the glue is going to run down into the other areas. Like, it was gluing itself together a little bit, I could tell. But look at that. We have magnets on both sides. So now, at this point, I would give a kiss a kicker on both of those. And then just a kiss a kicker in case I had some that flowed. That was pretty fantastic, all. I know it was. So now, I mean, I suppose if somebody was really worried about the thing opening, you could conceivably... look at this, watch. Watch this. Whoa, that is perfect. See? Perfect. It fits nicely. It's exactly as it were. Except better. Okay? That took all of 17 minutes. Good Lord, 17 minutes. What the heck was happening that whole time? Feels like just yesterday when I started this project. Anyway, alright, cool. So we're done with that. Oh, don't need any taco seasoning for the rest of this. This is a taco seasoning bottle, guys. So my next project is going to consist of probably going ahead and moving on to the aileron separation maneuver. And I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video for now, and we'll start a new video for that so that I can separate these out to small bite-sized pieces, 17.5 minutes long. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.